Welcome to NL's Super Taikyu 24 Hours Race 2023. It's the round 2 of the Super Taikyu series, and it's going underway in Fuji International Speedway. My name is Sasha. Alongside me is JP de Oliveira, the current Super GT GT300 champion. Welcome, JP.
Thank you, Sasha. It's a pleasure to be here with you for the 24-hour broadcasting.
Well, we're actually not broadcasting 24 hours, but it's a 24-hour race.
Exactly,
we're
yeah.
Gonna show the first 2 hours, and of course also the goal part tomorrow.
We would need a lot of coffee for that.
Right. So this is Ms. Kuwayama, the head of the Super Taikyu series, who made a declaration before the start of the race, and lots of people are coming to Fuji Speedway to see the one and only 24-hour race here in Japan. And I think it's now the time for the national anthem. It's 5 minutes before the start. Everybody's lining up for the national anthem of Japan. Well, it's a beautiful weather here in Fuji Speedway. Warm, sunny, no chance of rain, which would be a good thing for a 24-hour race.
Hopefully the weather stays like that overnight, especially. We had some crazy 24 hours a few years ago. Remember when the race had to be stopped a few times due to the rain.
And now we have Ayano Nonomura coming in, stepping in the circuit to sing the national anthem of Japan. A soprano singer, Ayano Nonomura. Let's listen to her beautiful voice. So that was Ayano Nonomura, a soprano singer, singing the Japanese anthem before the start of the race. So JP, how many years are you racing here in Japan already?
I think we're about 20 years now.
Oh,
this is the 20th year.
Oh, congratulations for the anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're currently competing in Super GT. And you raced here twice, the 24-hour race in Fuji?
Yes, so with team study, both in a GT4 car.
Okay, before we go further, let's listen to the opening declaration by the mayor of Oyama Town, where the Fuji Speedway is, Seiichi Ikeya, who is also the chairman of the Motorsport Association in the town. So I think we had a difficulty with the sound. Apologies for that. That was Mr. Iwiyama. So, yeah, so you competed here twice. So how was the experience doing the 24-hour race here in Fuji Speedway with the Super Taikyu cars?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cars in this field, and you have a lot of cars that are very much slower than the others. So if you are racing in the main class and also in the GT4 class, you're gonna be lapping pretty fast the slower cars, and yeah, it's all about management, traffic management. It's very important to stay out of trouble, especially in the beginning of the race when everybody is so packed. You know, after a while, the race starts to get into a bit more of a rhythm, and then you start to have more gaps, and then it's always a bit easier. But especially in the first couple of hours, 3 hours, that's when you know, you have to be more careful about running into trouble and so on. So I was, you know, I had the pleasure to start the race when I did it. It was yeah, really good fun driving through traffic and so on, especially coming from Super GT. But obviously, you know, when you lap slower cars, you have to be very, very careful.
Right.
Because you don't know. Sometimes you can take a corner, you can think you can take a corner in a certain line, but they're moving quite slower than you can predict sometimes. It can be dangerous.
I see. And as JP has mentioned, Super GT has two classes, 500 and 300. But here in Super Taikyu series, we have lots of classes. Start to mention with STX class, STZ, then we have STQ, then it starts with the numbers, ST1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 8 classes in one race.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, the ST5s, obviously, it's a big field. So you have many cars in the ST5s, and so you know, perhaps I think between STZ and ST5s, that's the majority of the cars in the field. So you're going to be lapping those ST5s very quickly after the start.
Yes. So, for example, ST5. Let's explain. Start from the ST5, which is the smallest cars. It's 1,500 cc or below. For example, Honda Fit, Mazda Demio, Toyota Yaris, Mazda Roadstar. Those cars are ST5. And ST4 is between 1,500 cc to 2,500, like the Toyota GR8 Hachiroku, or like Subaru BRZ, and Honda S2000 or so. And then we have ST3, which is 2,400 cc to 3,500 cc with rear wheel drive units, like Lexus RC, Nissan Fairlady Z, and then also Toyota Crown. And then we have ST2, which is 2,400 to 3,500 cc, the same as ST3, but with four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive vehicles, such as Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, Subaru Impreza, Toyota GR Yaris, or Honda Civic Type R. And then we have ST1. That's the approved vehicles other than ST2 through ST5, so above ST2,
right,
or somewhere in between.
Right.
Which would be like Porsche 911 GT3 or Toyota GR Supra, Aston Martin Vantage. Those cars are ST1. And then STQ. This is a special category, actually. Like the hydrogen cars or concept cars. For this year, the Toyota GR Corolla 2 concept, which is a hydrogen car, or like a CNF concept car, bio concept car, like those e-fuels cars.
Right.
And also we have the Nissan Z Racing concept this year. The cars are now undergoing the formation lap. And then we have STZ, which is basically the GT4 car.
Right.
And then STX GT3.
Right.
Those are the categories that are competing here in the Super Taikyu Fuji 24-hour race. Now we are almost finishing the formation lap, and the race is almost to start. So let's see. From pole position, the Helm Motorsport GTR GT3 will start the race in the leading position. followed by the rookie AMG GT3. Both are ST X class. There are 5 ST X class in the front. So it started the race. Nice start by Helm Motorsports GTR GT3, followed by the AMG by Rookie Racing, and also Denso Lexus RCF. And then we have KCMG NSX GT3. And most of the cars in the back are the ST5 class cars. We have 12 ST5 cars. Altogether, we have today 55 cars. So we have another start here. Well, we have lots of cars, so we have to separate into 2. And these are the second start. So the race has been officially started. Ooh, it's a tight battle in the first corner. So for this race, JP, we have either 5 or 6, well, for some teams only 4, but drivers, and they're gonna change drivers. Oh, it's already a battle for the first spot.
Yeah, we have a battle there for the lead into the last corner. That's the Mercedes.
Driven by Tatsuya Kataoka, who's also a Super GT driver. He overtook and now leads the race.
Yeah, Kataoka has a lot of experience driving that Mercedes, so he will feel very comfortable, especially in the beginning of this race.
Oh,
you see the GTR quite fast here on the straight.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 kilometer straight. World famous long straight here in Fuji Speedway, side by side. Also followed by Saga, Denso Lexus RCF. And it's Kataoka once again in front. So it's Zhongchen Motorsports GTR GT3. So it's Kataoka now leading the race by Toriba, driving the Helm Motorsports GTR GT3, and Saga third. And trying to overtake Saga at the Coca-Cola corner. No, it's the hairpin.
Yes, the hairpin is yeah, the Helm Motorsports car under pressure in the beginning of this race. You see Toriba a bit under pressure from both these drivers who have Super GT experience. So I think it's quite difficult for him to manage that. You know, it's a little bit of pressure starting a 24-hour race from pole position, and you have 2 drivers with experience. So they're both making their way forward in the first lap.
So, JP, what is important in this 24-hour race? It's not a sprint race. It's an endurance race, but it's the longest of most of the categories. Well, it's the one and only 24-hour race here in Japan. So, what's important? Not only to drive fast, right? Oops, number 72 is coming in.
Already have 1 car coming to the pit. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many factors here you can take into consideration, but obviously, you know, stay out of trouble in the beginning of the race, especially in the first few hours. You know, it's going to be very important to manage the race. And then some teams have strategies. You know, you have to balance your driver lineup according to the categories that they are in. According to their license categorization. So you have to distribute the time according to that as well. So it's always important for the team to know what time certain drivers have to drive, you know, and so on. So trying to, I mean, it's interesting to see some teams here not starting, let's say, with their ace drivers, because they're already thinking about, you know, maybe of them driving overnight, you know, when the conditions perhaps is a little bit more, could be difficult in terms of visibility. But yeah, I mean, I would say stay out of trouble and definitely have a car that's reliable and working well, drivers that understand this is a 24-hour race and not a sprint. So try not to go excessive, overly excessive over curbs and so on. So look after your equipment, and all of that is very important.
I see. And also, like, driving over the curves so many times will maybe cause damage to the car, right?
Yes, you can damage the floor. You can damage, obviously there's a certain amount of curve that you can use, but if you get too confident, sometimes you hit a part of the curve that can damage the floor. And then if you damage the floor, I mean, two things can happen. Either it can be enough damage that you may have to pit. Sometimes you can get an orange board, white and black and orange board, which you then have to pit. Otherwise, you may lose performance. So I think the teams will be, telling the drivers to be very aware of that.
Right. There are already a couple of cars coming in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you could see. I don't know if this is already for to put the car in the right view window, or I don't know what they're trying to do here, but it's, maybe driving time or some kind of strategy that these teams are applying to pit early on. It doesn't seem to be any trouble with them.
Maybe they want to drive in clean air where no cars are.
I mean, it's this is hard to judge at this point, but we wish we could have some pit information here to find out, but this seems to be an exciting battle here between this is the STZ class. You see some experienced drivers here battling in this class.
Hiranaka, Okusa, Yoshida.
That's a good battle.
Tomita, they're all Super GT drivers. So.
All Super GT drivers, and they're so close to each other. See, they're all very talented drivers, and battling in cars that they're not very familiar with because they're different from their Super GT machines.
This is Hiranaka driving the Shade Racing GR Supra. Shade Racing is actually competing in Super GT2, GT300 class, but they originally started their racing here in Super Taikyu, so this is their home field.
Yep.
Number 885. You see already the STZ class overtaking ST5 cars.
And you see the difference of speed on the straight. It's so big. So. Yeah, the ST5s, I think the cornering speed also is quite low, so you have to be very careful with your line going into the corner, because you may expect them to move out of the way, but it's hard to judge like which direction they may go, so you have to be extra careful when overtaking this, especially when they're all so bunched up together in the beginning of the race.
We're now checking out car number 2. This is from ST1 class, Centium Apple KTM. Ida Tayo is driving the car. This is the KTM car.
This car used to be in Super GT.
Yes.
Right?
But not in this shape.
Yeah, not in this shape, yeah.
This is the KTM. So this is the ST1 for vehicles other than the ST2 to ST5, so which doesn't fit into all those ST2 to ST5 class. And it's also not an GT3, GT4 car, then you will be fit into this ST1 class.
Right. We see there the Aston Martin racing in the same class. It's just...
yes. 2 cars behind.
Yeah.
And in between is Nissan Z Racing Concept, which is in the STQ class. And now the current driver is Hirate. So this Nissan Z Racing Concept is a very, very interesting car, I think, with interesting drivers also.
Yes.
It's Hirate, Sasaki, Takaboshi, and Matsuda.
Yeah, all experienced Nissan drivers.
Yes. Well, your rivals, should I say, maybe?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, some of them my arch
also
rivals.
old teammates.
Exactly. Number 225.
This is the KTMS GR Yaris.
Leading in the ST2 class.
Yes. Kengo Ichijo is driving the car. Overtaking STZ class Audi R8. And now we're taking another car.
So looking at the front of the race, just checking at the times at the moment, Kataoka doing a 44.3 and Saga 44.7 and Toriba on a 44.2. They're doing pretty similar lap times at the moment.
The top three.
The top three cars. And then you have Paul Lip in the KCMG car. It's an NSX GT3. So KCMG coming back to the GT3 in this race with their NSX for the 24 hours. So a great addition to this race.
And this is now car number 39 and 15, which is now ahead of the ST3 class. Number 16 is leading the ST3 class. Hirokazu Suzuki driving the Fairlady Z. Followed by number 39, the Airbuster WinMax RC 350 TWS. The driver is Takashi Ito. And the third car, currently in the third in the ST3 class, is Okame Jidosha Fairlady Z34 with Masaaki Nagashima. So we're currently checking all the classes now. These cars are from the ST3 class. And I think we're gonna check the ST4 class after this. Well, it's this tight battle between these three cars. The race has just begun, but there are still in a difference of 1 second, I think.
Yeah. One thing I'm observing here is the lap time difference between the classes, and you see in the ST3 class they're lapping about 12 seconds, 12 to 13 seconds slower than the STX, and yeah, I mean, it means they're also getting lapped pretty soon, as well as the ST4s, which are already over the 2-minute mark. And you have some really good names in the ST4s as well.
Yes, like Kunimoto currently driving the Shade Racing car.
Yep. Sho Tsuburui, who has been doing fantastically well in Super Formula Series.
Fighting against Liam Lawson.
Liam Lawson, yeah. He's been putting on a challenge for Liam Lawson. I mean, very impressive. Beginning of season for Liam Lawson as well in Japan. You know, we all know of his credentials and what he's capable of, but yeah, Tsuboi really putting up a good fight, and yeah, here running second place to Kunimoto, both running the GR86 cars.
So this is now the ST4 class. The 884 is currently their Shade Racing GR8 Hachiroku, driven by Yuji Kunimoto, followed by Sho Tsuboi, car number 86, the Tom Spirit GR Hachiroku.
I bet it's really fun for these drivers I mean, some of them are really good friends, and when you drive, you know, cars that, I mean, obviously some of them are GT500, so the cars will be quite much slower in terms of lap time, but you're still battling with each other on track. And, you know, I think a lot of them are having good fun there.
Right. It's a competition, but at the same time, it's a long race, so you don't have to really, you know, mess it up with a tight battle in each corner, right?
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, you definitely don't want to end your race early, or to do something silly early in the race. You just want to keep your car in good shape. You know, it's, as we were talking about it before, it's important to think ahead, you know, and keep the car for the final 12 hours of the race, and Yeah, and in 24 hours.
After the dawn.
Yeah, I mean, that's, how many laps are they going to do? We'll see at the end tomorrow, but it's a lot more than in a Super GT season, which is crazy.
Exactly, yeah. So we have now car number 884. This is the leader of the SC4 class, Shade Racing, Kunimoto. Oops, lost car. Yeah, this one. The white car with the blue line is 884, followed by 86. So this is Shotsuboi.
Yeah.
Spirit. Oh.
Putting some pressure there on his.
And inside at the 100R. But next corner is the hairpin, and
they're going side by side here.
Yeah, and Kunimoto is still keeping his lead. But the next corner is right corner, the 300R, and it's Shotsuboi.
I don't know if this is taken already, but well, I mean, yeah, looks like Tsuboi.
And it's a Dunlop corner, right-hander. Ooh.
He went straight. He missed the braking spot.
Because of the car in front.
Oh, yeah. So, or maybe, yeah, maybe he was a little bit optimistic there on that braking point. Maybe just during the battle, getting a little bit distracted and braking a little bit over the braking point.
And Kunimoto takes back the lead of the SC4 class, but Tsuboi will not end this battle, and it's a straight line for 1.5 kilometers.
This is a good battle. It's a good battle to watch, and I bet they're having really good fun there.
It's clean, but it's still really nice battle between these two.
Yeah. Two Toyota cars, they gotta be extra clean with each other, extra careful.
Same Hachiroku's. Hachiroku, which means 86 in Japan. So that's the reason that the car number is 86 for show. Tsuboi.
That car that just went through is the Team Impo. So
yeah, this one is also a very interesting team.
A very interesting lineup. How many Kazukis are there?
You should be a Kazuki to drive the car, right?
You have to be Kazuki, apparently.
Nanimo Denso Team Impo Z. The car number is 20. It's Hiramine Kazuki, Oki Kazuki, Hoshino Kazuki, and Kazuki Nakajima. And it's a big surprise that Kazuki Nakajima is driving the car. He retired from the race, and he's now currently the vice chairman of Toyota Gazoo Racing Europe, which is competing the World Endurance Championship, the Le Mans.
That's incredible. I mean, that also makes me think about my career too, because the reason why is because Kazuki was my teammate in Formula 3.
Right.
So like when I see Kazuki now as a vice chairman of Toyota Gazoo Racing, maybe makes me think, oh, maybe I don't know if I should
own a team and drive a car.
Yeah, maybe I should move to the next step then. But
the Super TEC series is also waiting for you.
Well, but this also, the other side of this is that what's interesting. You see, there's so much respect and friendliness between the manufacturers in Japan, because you see Kazuki Nakajima having a relationship with Toyota and being a vice chairman of Toyota. So as a racing, so obviously for him to drive a Nissan here, that's a big deal. Because, in the end, he's driving against Toyota cars as well.
Right.
So it's it's interesting. I wonder how that came across and how they planned that out, and I wonder what was Kazuki's word to Toyota to tell them.
Right.
Guys,
I'm sorry, I'm a Kazuki, so I have to join them.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting one. Let's see how they fare together. Kazuki Hiramine, and Hiramine is driving for Team Impo and Super GT, and Kazuki Hoshino is now his team principal. Yeah. So Hoshino moving on from being a racing driver to now lead the Impo team in Super GT.
Yeah. And if I can add, Kazuki Nakajima's father, Satoru Nakajima, is the first full-time Formula One driver who drove for Honda.
Right.
So there's another manufacturer.
There's another manufacturer involved. Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. There's a lot of history in that team too. Impo, I'm not sure if this is Impo's first year participation, I guess, right? In the Super Taikyu series.
Yeah.
So a very big addition to the series.
Very interesting lineup from Naniwa Denso Team Impol Z GT4, competing in STZ class, car number 20. And yeah, and to add once again, it's 4 Kazukis in one car.
Exactly.
They have 6 drivers in the lineup, and 4 of them are Kazukis.
Yeah, so wonder who you know, if the others were not Kazuki are getting any less priority under that team. But yeah, let's see this battle here still between Tsuboi and Kunimoto, right?
884, the Shade Racing between 86. The Toms, both Hachirokus, so basically the same car. And it's turn 1.
Yeah, we see the flashlighting there on Tsuboi's car. I wonder if he's doing that to distract Kunimoto, or because we've seen that a few times on the braking.
And from around the outside of Coca-Cola corner, it's Tsuboi overtaking. Applause from the Tom's garage. Well, that was a quite nice overtake.
It was a nice overtake, but it was surprising to me because I mean, perhaps Kunimoto just went a little bit off the throttle there. Maybe, you know, maybe doing some management here. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, nonetheless, a good pass by Tsuboi.
Well, you don't want to use too much fuel or tires.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you don't want to sacrifice too much for this one battle, right?
You see,
he's flashing that once again. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you know, it makes me wonder if that's some kind of
thank you message.
No, I don't. Wow, he's really sliding into that corner over there. Like, I mean, when you look close, you see it's really sliding on 4 wheels after the chicane. But yeah, he's already getting a little bit of a gap. So I think Tsuboi is a little bit faster at this point. So, but yeah, the cars look evenly matched. So it'll be interesting to see them battle throughout this race.
It's basically the same car. So, well, I don't know how the setting is, but it should be almost the same.
Yes.
Speed. Here at the Fuji Speedway. These cars. And now it's time to overtake this ST5 class car. Is that a car, the yellow car, is that the one who's coming into the highways when the car is stopping?
I wonder. I'm looking at that coloring and I'm thinking, this car looks familiar, but not from the racetrack.
Exactly.
I don't.
In the Japanese highways, if you have a trouble with the car, you know, you see those yellow cars coming in.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, he's racing.
Let me check what car is it. I can see the car number. It's car number 11.
Right.
So from the ST5 class, that's the Sakai Kensetsu Honda cars, Minami Sapporo Fit. Driver is Motoharu Sato. So this is a Honda car from Hokkaido, all from the north.
All the way from Hokkaido.
Yeah.
So maybe he drove down here. Well, he would have to take the ferry.
I don't know. Well, if you drove down to Fuji Speedway, you already used so many mileages.
Exactly.
With the engine.
That's the KCMG car. That is a really cool livery, I must say. I saw the. That's a rookie car coming in. Is that Morizo?
Car number 32. Let's see. Yes, Morizo is driving the car. This is the ORC Rookie GR Corolla H2 concept. So this is a hydrogen car. And Morizo, well, which is a driving name for Akio Toyoda.
Akio Toyoda, the man himself.
The chairman of Toyota. He just recently stepped up to the chairman, right? From the president.
Right. And I mean, he is so important for Japanese motorsports in general because I mean, he breathes motorsports. He's really involved in the scene. He's racing the cars here.
He loves racing.
He's also
an official test driver of Toyota, right?
Right, and he drives. I mean, I've seen him do donuts in the straight at Fuji, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can do this. I was like, wow, he was really impressive doing those donuts like in the narrow straight, and yeah, must have good practice there. He's getting his hydration in.
Yeah, and the car is also getting hydration.
Exactly, the car also. But this year they have, you see now they're getting the hydrogen in the pit lane.
Yes.
So until last year, I think they had to go on the back of the pits to get this into the car.
So because technology is evolving.
Yeah, well, I think maybe they managed to arrange this to be at the end of the pits. So they obviously you see that it's a big tube that goes out the back and a big rig. So I think they need more space than the usual concept for all the teams.
As you see, this is the liquid hydrogen. So, which I haven't mentioned so much is the SDQ class. The SDQ class is simply the environmental class.
Right.
So the goal for this class is to make the race in the future, or making races in the future, carbon neutral.
Right.
So one of the answer is hydrogen cars. The other one is using e-fuel.
Yep.
So that's one of the very impressive and important part of this 24-hour race, which makes it so unique.
Yeah, and we see that also coming across in Super GT now, because we're also we've been testing, and the GT 500s already racing with the e-fuel, and the GT 300s will start from the next race. So I think Japanese motorsports, well, it's was in consideration, but now it seems that I think they're talking about it between the teams and seeing what's the situation, but some teams do not agree yet, and so it's still up in the air, I would say, for them.
But it's happening, and for example, Formula One is trying to change to e-fuel in 2026. So, well, basically, if you want to use combustion engines, you have to move forward with the fuel, or maybe with hydrogen, or whatever, with different energies. So.
Yeah. So the goal is obviously to try to decrease the damage to environment. I think that's as much as possible. So yeah.
And this is the number 28. This is Daisuke Toyoda, so the son of Morizo, ORC rookie GR86 CNF concept. So this is CNF, which means e-fuel.
Yep.
Carbon neutral fuel. Well, there are lots of different CNFs actually here in the planet, which some come from still loading.
Yeah.
There are some from wastes, or some from plants, or there are lots of options right now.
Right. Yeah, but one of the difficult things about carbon neutral fuel, and especially in a series that has so many different engines and brands, is that like some engines have different behavior with that same fuel. I mean, it becomes, because everybody develops their engine based on the regular fuel that is available at gas stations, or the premium fuel. But then when you change into a carbon neutral fuel, which is something you haven't developed your engine on, you start to have variables, and things start to happen that is you're not predicting. So I know from testing, in our case, for example, we have a lot of things that, you know, like a lot of different alarms are coming. It's either temperature or oil or something, and that has been causing trouble to some teams to manage that and to put that into, you know, the right window. So I think that's why the delay, especially in some classes, because it's still not completely fair to everyone. Some people have more trouble than others.
Yes. And this is the car number 271. This is the Honda version of carbon neutral fuel car. Civic Type R, CNFR. Driver is Takuya Izawa. Also in the STQ class. You see the big HRC, the Honda Racing Company logo.
Yeah.
Which is now the racing company of, well, under Honda, which is also the main, part of the Honda in Formula One.
Right.
So HRC is now the heart of the Honda racing, both in 2 wheels and 4 wheels now. They merged, the 2-wheel racing parts of Honda and 4-wheel together a couple of years ago, and now they're aiming for the same goal in the same company, in one company. And this is car number 55. This is the Matsuda version of biofuel. Once again, e-fuel. Kazuhiro Terakawa is driving the car. This is Matsuda Spirit Racing, Matsuda 3 Bio Concept.
And also the car number 61.
Car number 61 is, yes, Hirota Koichi. This is Team SDA Engineering BRZ CNF Concept. So this is now the Subaru version of carbon neutral fuel, e-fuel. Oh, now we see the onboard.
Hirota.
Yes, Koichi Hirota.
You see the H pattern there. That's really interesting. Nice. That's really nice. I love to see this. Sometimes we get the opportunity to drive cars with H pattern gearbox, and I love it, especially during the Nismo Festival at the end of the year. It brings back lots of memories
from the past.
From the past, and, the drivers definitely need to have more input. It's the timing and everything. You have to be with one hand on the steering most of the time, right, cornering as you're shifting and so on. So there's a battle in the STZ class.
Yes, this is the car number 885, the STZ class. Leading the class is Shade Racing GR Supra GT4 Evo, Katsuyuki Hiranaka. Followed by car number 555, Jun Tashiro, driving the Revision AMG GT4. So these are the two
putting
cars.
Him under pressure there. They're both very, very close.
Yes. So we were talking about the environmental side of this Fuji 24-hour race, or Super Taikyu also. And one other thing is, it's also, because this is the only 24-hour race here in Japan, it's also part of car making or car developing. So manufacturers are coming here to test the car in different and also tough conditions, right, which is most of the 24 hours, the cause of the 24-hour race. So to have a 24-hour race is really, really, I think, important for the car manufacturers. And I'm glad that we have it now here in Japan for a couple of years. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I think these manufacturers, that's a great opportunity to see about the reliability and to evaluate collect data. You don't have many opportunities to run in tough conditions like this. So to drive a 24-hour race, and you can see so many different things on data. You can see obviously the fuel consumption. You can see the numbers of the engine, the temperatures, and evaluate those things, and just improve the performance of the engine with that kind of fuel, which is still relatively new to a lot of these manufacturers. So even though they have been developing these cars, they still way to go compared to what we this is only in the last few years that we're starting to see. So still a lot of development to be had in this field.
Yeah. Oops, everybody's cheering. This car number 555 is coming in. It's currently second in the STZ.
Yeah, they've done their pit stop. I wonder if they changed driver. It doesn't look like.
Yeah. Well, so imagine maybe some manufacturers have their own test course or so. You can drive maybe for 24 hours with their own car, but there's no competition in there. So you have to have competition. You have to do overtakes, hard braking, sometimes losing control, and then using curbs, whatever. That doesn't happen in a test course, I think.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about these tough conditions of racing. One thing is to go testing. When you go testing, I know that some teams that are racing at the high level, pinnacle of Le Mans racing, for example, they do that kind of testing. They go to Spain and so on, and then you do like a proper 24-hour test.
Right.
But not many people have that possibility, especially when you consider that you need lighting as well. Circuits that will run overnight, that will allow you to be at the track when sometimes they don't have the facility is not open, they don't have the marshals and so on. So a 24-hour like this is very important for the manufacturers that want to make steps forward with being whatever field they're trying to develop.
Yeah. So racing is really important. Otherwise, you will not have that, or the toughest condition by driving the car, and which makes the car, well, safer for us, for road cars.
Exactly.
Because we don't usually drive 24 hours continuously, and we don't have curbs. We have curbs, but we don't have curbs in the street, and we don't have overtaking, battling in the highway. So, well,
we have holes and potholes on the street,
but that doesn't happen. So if the cars can drive or can be reliable in these conditions, that means our cars in the road would be much more reliable and also safe.
Sure.
And also one part is we don't want to see that, but if if some incident happens and somebody gets into the wall or whatever, tire barrier, and that's also one part of the measurement of the security or the safety that the cars have. Then once we got involved to an accident in a road car, the safety would be guaranteed more than before because of the racing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that adding to this, what you're talking about, normally in a racetrack, there will be some certain precautions in terms of the safety, some extra precautions compared to a regular road car. Obviously, the seat belt, you're gonna have more points on the seat belt. You're gonna have a customized seat, so you're not gonna be moving on the seat as much as you do on a road car. But the structure of the car for some of the classes here is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So what they evaluate is the structure of the car, see how much damage you can get, and and so on. But then, these cars all, they go through rigorous testing of crash testing, so that they can be, no doubt nobody can race if their cars don't go through a rigorous test of crash testing. But yeah, the safety of the driver is most important. So in a closed circuit, there will be the seat belts usually with the 5 points, where you see normally all the series and Formula cars around the world have. And yeah, that's some of the basic differences for the road car.
Nice.
And I mean, when you talk about evaluating the car during a tough race, Fuji Speedway is a track which is relatively smooth, not very high curbs. So this is a track that you can manage. You know, I'm sure that one of the points here, Fuji Speedway, that may be tough at the brakes, because you have a long straight and you're gonna be braking into turn 1 many times during the race. And so a lot of these teams are gonna need to change their brake pads, maybe even brake discs, both together, sometimes just brake pads. But I think, you know, some more experienced drivers are able to save a little bit of brakes and to just, you know, to do a brake management. And some others may not be able to do as much, but you know, that also comes down to the driver. So yeah, there are factors like this. You know, I mean, if you race on a track like the Nürburgring, for example, you have to throw yourself over curbs because the track is narrow, and in some parts you just fit 2 cars, and you know, if you're side by side with someone, you got to go either over a grass or over a curb. And your car is being tested there to the max capacity.
Right.
You know, that's why all these manufacturers, when they're doing the development of a new car, especially sports cars that are high-end sports cars, they will go to the Nürburgring, because that's the ultimate test, right?
I see. Nordschleife.
The Nordschleife.
Yeah.
There we have the Raffiné STZ car fighting the Audi.
The R8, car number 34. This is currently the second in the STZ class. Riki Okusa, also from Super GT 300 class, drives the Audi R8, followed by Ryuichiro Tomita. So they used to be teammates, I think.
Teammates last year in Super GT. So Okusa driving the Audi.
Yes, and Tomita driving the Raffiné Z, which is also the Raffiné Nissan Mechanic Challenge Z. So I think part of your team staffs are involved in this.
Yeah, I think there's a relationship between the teams. An arm of previous a person that's connected to Kondo Racing has started running that team. So there's a strong link between Kondo Racing
and the red car here?
Yes, and the Raffiné racing car.
Ooh. And now this is car number 52.
That's a Green Brave.
Yeah. Hiroki Yoshida, the Saitama Toyota GR Supra. Still fighting Okusa and Tomita.
Okusa and Tomita are very good friends. I know they were. Tomita especially seemed to be quite sad about losing Okusa as teammate for this season. Apparently, like before the season started, he was.
They were like master and apprentice.
Yeah. So Okusa obviously, you know, had a huge year last year in Super GT. A very impressive debut season, and
just missed the championship.
Yeah,
because of.
Because of circumstances, right? So because
we have the champion here in the studio,
and we were just talking about. I mean, that's Kono-san there who is running that team, and so he has been many years with Kondo Racing, and now, you know, entering his own team here in the STZ class. Sorry.
Yeah. So Tomita overtook Okusa. So Tomita moved up to second in the class and 10th overall. Yes. And one other thing, oh, this is car number 14 before we move on. This is the current leader, Tatsuya Kataoka, the Zhongcheng Rookie AMG GT3. I think the gap is already, let me check, over 10 seconds, 14 seconds.
14 seconds, but the gap increased a lot in the last couple of laps. Just a few laps ago was 7 seconds. I wonder why. There's maybe some
traffic?
Yeah, traffic, but yeah. And Toriba in the GTR, 26 seconds behind, which, you know, I think at this point in the race, we've done 26 laps. It's a respectable effort from him, because you know, he's the gentleman driver here in this car. And, you know, so I'm sure that yeah, that car will be in contention in this race.
Right. And one driver to mention is Jan Mardenborough.
Yeah.
Driving for this 24 hours for the first time.
Yeah, definitely Jan. I mean, making his return to Japan after being absent here for some time. But I know Jan would love to be back in Japan. Japan would love to have Jan back. So having this opportunity to race in the 24 is a good opportunity for him to come back into racing. You know, have, you know, a big 24-hour race, the biggest in Asia, so he can be here and have his presence in this big race, and you know, maybe try to win it and try more opportunities, have more doors open.
And he also has a very unique career, which will be a movie really soon.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much we can talk about the movie, but the movie is
about it's about that Gran Turismo game.
The Gran Turismo, yeah. So that seems to be a big cast, and it's the story of Jan Mardenborough. So I think this year he's obviously, you know, has different projects going on. So I don't know how much he can dedicate time into racing, because when when things like that are happening, I'm sure he's doing he's quite busy traveling and doing other things. But
well, he's not starring in the movie, but still,
yes,
it's
exactly.
Based on his story.
It's based on his story, but he's apparently he's a stuntman. He's a stuntman for himself in the movie.
Oh, really? He drives a car?
He drives a car. Yeah. So
I see.
Which is
so at the race scene, it's him.
Which is quite odd, right? You're being a stuntman for the guy that's playing you. So, but yeah, I mean, that's I'm looking forward to watch the movie, because obviously, you know, we know the story. We know Jan had a meteoric career coming from gaming,
from the UK, gaming, becoming a fast driver in Gran Turismo.
I mean, the fact that, you know, coming from gaming, but in gaming, there's so many talented, you know, gamers and so many talented drivers. But then to win the competition that he won in Gran Turismo, that's like thousands of players around the world, right? So you have to be very talented to win that, and then to come across into racing, that's only a handful maybe of drivers have that opportunity ever, right? So, and then, you know, to make a professional career, that's, you know, so I think that's it's some things are obviously very difficult, because, you know, you don't have a lot of the racing car drivers. They have a very long career. They start in go-karting, and they have a long process into becoming professional.
Right.
You do some years in Formula 4, some years in Formula 3, Formula 2. You do many years in go-karting.
Yes.
And you build a foundation. But for Jan, it was more like, you know, he wins a competition, online competition, and then gets a chance to drive a proper race car.
Right.
So, and then come across drivers that have a lot more experience in real racing. So then it becomes quite challenging, and you know, but Jan is a very talented driver and someone who has, you know, a good head between his shoulders. So he knows, you know, he's a fighter. So he's trying here to come back into Japanese motorsports, and I hope he does.
Yeah, nice. He's a super nice guy, and well, let's see what he can do here, and we'll do what will he do in the future. And well, let's see, maybe he will drive the car fast and bring it back to the top spot.
Yep, they got a long race ahead of them, and yeah, I'm sure they have a very good lineup in that car, in the Helm Motorsports GTR.
And if you want to know about Jan Mardenborough more, just check his Instagram. He's also, his hobby is to use a film camera, I think.
Yeah.
So he's a nice photographer, and he takes lots of beautiful photos.
So this is interesting because I think a lot of race car drivers, and for some reason race car drivers that come to Japan, because I remember many years ago, together with Andre Lauterer, we just sort of start taking photos. We just buy some nice cameras and we start going around and taking photos. And Andre, he has an account that is quite popular with only his photography.
Right.
He shoots with the Leica, a super nice camera, and he likes to, you know, he has quite an interesting lifestyle, living in south of France and having sports cars and taking photographies of that. So that becomes quite interesting altogether. Jan as well. So, you know, quite interesting.
Do you have a photo account on Instagram?
I like to, so I was taking more like travel photos and like nature. I love to like get up in the morning, get a nice sunrise, moments like that, sunrise, sunsets, or like beautiful nature pictures. I unfortunately, my hobby became cycling in the last few years.
I know.
I have dedicated so much of my time to cycling, I forgot about my camera.
You went second in the competition, right?
Yeah, that's the Tour de Okinawa.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the class, second in the class, right?
Second in the Masters class, yeah. So.
But you're a racer. You want to win, right? Second is not what you want.
Well, it was a sprint, and it was down to 100 of a second. You know, so it was. Yeah, I mean, you know, it was one of the biggest. I don't know. To me, it was a huge achievement in my
Yeah.
I wouldn't say career, but I would say as my hobby career, because when you go into a bike race, like especially someone who without much experience, and we come to an end with a sprint, that was quite interesting because I got dropped on the last climb, and then I came down on the descent, and I approached the top three. Amazing. As they were making the approach for the line, and then we sprinted, the four of us.
Cool. So. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
So if you want to check out, just follow JP's Instagram account, and you will see lots of photos with his bikes.
Exactly. Right. So let's get back to the race.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we have lots of talents here driving, and as you have mentioned, it's the one and only 24-hour race here in Japan. But as JP said, the goal is to become the top 24-hour race in Asia. So we have lots of foreign drivers also, like as we mentioned, Jan Mardenborough. Teammate is Sean Tong, who is from Hong Kong, and we have lots of other foreign drivers. So
we are on board here.
Is this a rookie racing car? Is this?
Yeah, I think.
Is this the Morizo?
Morizo.
Yeah. So we're driving alongside, driving with Morizo, with the hydrogen GR car.
You can hear the sound of the hydrogen engine.
Yes. Sounds nice. This is the Dunlop corner, I think. Moving on to turn 13. It's a rare view, actually, to see a side view.
Yeah. I mean, you can see how much work he's doing, especially, I mean, I'm surprised because since the chicane, he hasn't been shifting. So, obviously, it's a very different concept on
You're right.
On the engine. So
Yeah.
you see, like the gear ratio is very long.
Now he shifted.
Yeah. So that would mean that the engine can pick up power from very low revs. Checking out to see the faster cars coming on the straight.
Checking right and left.
Right and left.
Heading to turn 1.
Sometimes driving a slower car around the track is more difficult than driving a fast car.
Oh, really?
It's more difficult because when you're driving a slow car, you have to stay on the mirrors sometimes. And oh, we have a good battle here.
Yeah. Number 34. STZ class. This is again Riki Okusa. Now followed by Takeshi Suehiro, BRP Sunshine Boulevard 71.8 GT4 RS. So I think Tomita went far ahead. And car number 52, Hiroki Yoshida, is following also. So these are 3-car battle now. Oh no, this is Tomita on the right side. So this is a 4-car battle.
Yeah, this is an interesting. Oh, that's
Tomita went right.
Yeah, he got sort of blocked there on the exit, and the compromise him is also under pressure from the Green Brave from Yoshida.
Now Suehiro, the BRP, is moving up to 2nd place of STZ. So he overtook 2 cars in just 2 corners.
Yoshida also passed.
Oh yeah.
Tomita.
Maybe Tomita having a problem. I don't know. It's quite weird actually how he lost his positions in just a couple of corners.
Yeah, we should see him on the camera right now.
I think he loses pace.
Well, he's still there, so could have been something like some small gear mistake or something small like that, but you never know. So we'll keep an eye.
I hope it's not a major problem. We just started a race an hour ago. We still have 23 hours, so.
Yeah, that's the thing about 24-hour racing is, you know, it's you have 2 hours, 3 hours into the race, and a lot has happened already, but still you've got over 20 hours to go, and it's only the beginning, and so many more things to come. So, you know, it's real hardcore endurance racing here. So, yeah, people with experience in 24 hours know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of, you know, managing your time, going to sleep, getting proper sleep, which is very difficult, by the way. Sometimes when you're in the racetrack, and I remember when I had my experience, so it's, you don't totally disconnect and go to sleep. Because
the adrenaline is
you have the adrenaline, and you want to know what's going on with your car. So it's very difficult to just, you know, just completely disconnect and fall asleep properly. So by the end, you see people really struggling.
What did you do?
Well, I pretended basically I had a 3-hour nap, which I was mostly awake for most. I was awake for most of it, and then it's either on coffees or, you know, energy drinks that you try to maintain. But
wow, that's tough.
Yeah.
When is the best hour you want to drive? When is the least hour you want to drive?
Well, I think.
Kataoka is coming in.
Yeah, no,
it's just overtaking.
Passing. So I think for, obvious reasons, that driving at night kind of messes up a little bit with your normal schedule, right? So then you have to try and sleep through the day, which then it's difficult because you're not used to it. So I think the most difficult is at night, not only for the
drive itself,
the drive itself conditions, but also because your body is not used to be awake at that time of the night. It's, I think, more it's easier to drive into the night. So maybe when you start to drive, like let's say midnight into 1, 2 a.m., you're kind of going. But once it gets to that late hours in the, like early hours in the morning, I think that's when it starts to hit you the most. Like 5, 6 a.m. and you haven't slept.
And then you have to sleep in the 7 in the morning.
Then you have to sleep, but then sometimes you have to sleep and they come to the pits and they say, you're in the car next.
Oh.
You gotta go again.
Wow.
And then it's some cold water in the face, some slaps, and maybe some eye drop to try to re-energize.
Lots of tricks.
Yeah, and off you go.
Well, I went to a couple of 24-hour races like Le Mans, Nürburgring, as a commentator, as a pit reporter. It was really tough. In the morning, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I had to sleep a couple hours, as you mentioned, but I couldn't because of the adrenaline. And then my heart just pumped up in the 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning. And then because, I don't know, it was I was overexhausted maybe.
Yeah.
And then the last hour, I was so intense.
Right.
I mean, because when you're in the pit, you see the cars for so long time, for over 23 hours, and then you think, you know, please go to the goal without any problems, because you saw the car 23 hours, and then the last hour, if something happens, it's so sad.
It is very frustrating. I mean, I think the
so
big
I got
one,
nervous actually.
Yeah, I mean,
in the pit.
A few years ago, that problem with the Toyota.
Yeah.
I mean, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know, so when you go through all of that and all you want is just to finish, and you want to be done with, everybody's tired and you just want to bring it to the goal, but yeah, something unexpected can still happen. Yeah, well, Morizo back in the pits here. Yeah. It seems they stop a lot more than the other cars.
This time it's a driver change.
This time it's a driver change as well, but they're going to refuel the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what is the range, how much shorter their stint is compared to other teams, but I think who we're gonna have in the car is maybe Latvala. Is that right?
Could be, yeah. Because yeah, he's really tall, so it should be Latvala.
Yep. Latvala, a rally master from Finland. All Finnish drivers have a skill for rallying.
Yes.
I think they have enough snow there, so they can practice every day.
And in summertime, you can drive 24 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's the HRC car coming in 271, also from STQ class, using the carbon neutral fuel, CNF. The Civic Type R. So this is a usual normal refueling, but the fuel is different. And again, the car number 1, still Toriba is driving the car. They finished already 36 laps. I think the top 3. Yep. Car number 2. Ooh, that looks cool. Oh, you open the car.
Yeah. You have a lot of room there to jump out.
Yeah. This looks nice. Car number 2. These the Cintium Apple KTM. Oh, back again. Still 3rd in the competition. Overall 3rd. The Helm Motorsports GTR GT3, and followed by the KCM GNSX.
So the top 4 cars still haven't come into the pits, and I mean, with now 37 laps done, it's about time they start to make their pit stops. I know that in GT3, about 40 laps you would.
I see.
It's about the limit you can go. So we'll see them coming in very shortly.
And this is car number 885, currently first in the STZ category, overall 9th.
Is that Suboi? No, that's sorry,
Hiranaka?
that's Hiranaka, yes.
Yes. Well, if you want to, we were talking about the Finnish drivers with rally skills. One other driver with Finland origin is here, Max Salo, son of Mika Salo.
Son of Mika Salo.
Yeah. Whose mother is Japanese. He's driving the car number 15 right now, the ST3 class, the Okamichi Dosha Paralady Z, which pitted just before.
So both Mika Salo and Jean Lizzy having strong links with Japan.
Yeah.
Their sons racing here in Japan.
Yeah, they're both half Japanese. Nice to have a good DNA here in Japan.
Yeah.
And this is car number 225, currently leading the ST2 class. The KTMS GR Yaris. Kengo Ichijo is coming in. Which also reminds me the WRC rally.
Yeah.
Yaris is the car who's competing. Oh, car number 33 is going out.
So that's a long pit stop. I mean, it's obviously it's more of a development thing. Toyota,
yes,
is
with the hydrogen.
It's using the experience to improve that type of engine, and I think the race result is perhaps less important to them. It's more about the experience of taking it to the end, and especially collecting data.
Exactly.
Because with those long pit stops and short stints, it becomes very difficult to fight with the other cars in class.
Right. And this is once again Yuichiro Tomita, car number 26, the Rafina Nissan Mechanic Challenge Z GT4. Currently second in the class, overall 10th, following the 885 car by Hiranaka. After the 100R comes the hairpin, the left-hander. So 70 minutes almost from the start of the race. Still leading the race is from the STX class, Kataoka, from the Zhongcheng Rookie AMG GT3, followed by Koki Saga, Denso Lexus RCF GT3. Third is Yutaka Toriba from Helm Motorsports GTR GT3. Fourth is Paul Lip from KCMG NSX GT3. Fifth overall from STX class is Kyoto Fujinami, Daishin MPR Racing GTR GT3. So these are the top 5 cars, and this overall. This is Morizo, so Akio Toyota, the chairman of Toyota company. I think looking quite happy after his first run. But I never saw the top of a car manufacturer driving one of the top categories in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to think a little bit about that, but yeah, I don't recall at this moment anybody as well that is that connected, is that involved, actually behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we were saying before. It's very impressive that you can see his passion for it, and starting his own rookie racing team which is located inside the Fuji Speedway,
yes,
by the way.
They have their own garage.
Beautiful facility.
Yes. Japanese side.
And what's interesting is that he's been driving here for a few years now with this car, so he's seeing the development himself. And obviously he will get input from the drivers, he will get different input from the pro drivers.
Yes.
But the fact that he can feel it himself, that's another level of understanding for the manufacturer.
He also drove the Nürburgring 24 hours.
Yeah.
Before and many other races. And as I mentioned, he's a test driver, official test driver of Toyota, including Lexus. So, you know, the passion to motorsports or to cars is, I think, in another level with him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, especially now seeing through rookie racing that runs the Super Formula and the Super GT operation, and now also here in Super Taikyu, is obviously connected to all top-level motorsports in Japan.
Yes. Back to car number 2, leading the ST1 class. Taiyo Ida, Maple KTM, and this is D Station. Tatsuya Hoshino driving the car. The D Station Vantage GT8R. The second in ST1 class and 14th overall. So there's quite a gap between the Apple KTM and D Station Vantage.
Right.
But still second in the competition. Beautiful car.
D Station this time they're bringing one of the junior drivers from the Aston Martin junior program, Casper Stevenson, who I believe is having his first experience in Japanese soil. So experiencing Japanese track for the first time, but also into a big race, into a big 24-hour race.
Right. And D Station is also involving in the World Endurance Championship. So
yeah, so I think he's also been driving with them in the World Endurance Championship.
Yes.
So I think that's why, you know, bringing him over to race here creates a stronger bond between driver and team, and gives him the opportunity to work a little bit more with the team. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Car number 47, the green car.
Going through traffic there, see this.
Yep.
Going through the slower ST5 class.
We see.
Is that coming into the pits? Is that Kataoka maybe coming in the background?
Oh yeah.
We've seen him taking the inside line many times on the straight, but
yes,
it looked like he was approaching the pit road. We'll see.
Let's see.
I think he did, because we don't see him in this footage. We'll see.
You might be right.
Yeah.
This is once again car number 32, hydrogen car.
Yeah. So
yes. Correct. Congratulations for a super guess. So the leading car, Tatsuya Kataoka's rookie AMG GT3 is coming in. This is an ST2 category car. It should be. I think we get it. Maybe car number 7.
let's see if there will be a driver change in that.
This is the Denso RCF car.
Yeah, so they pitted at exactly the same time. A driver change on the 31.
Yes. Saga to other driver, and I don't know, maybe Mr. Nagai, or the lineup is also good. Nagai, who competes at the GT300, Super GT Kotaka, Hideki Nagai, and Yuichi Nakayama, who drives GT500 class, and also Yuta Kamimura.
Yep.
Who's also an experienced driver who drove also the Porsche Carrera Cup Japan and other categories.
now we just saw there passing the Toyota. We saw the GT3 car of KCMG. That's Josh Burton, who took over from Polip, and we'll see both some of the teams now opting with some of their ace drivers. You see Fujinami also recovering some ground on that 819 on the Daishin GTR. He's done the fastest lap of the race so far, and
we have car number 14. This car, oh, this is not 14 anymore, but the rookie car is now in the control of Ukai.
Yeah. But it seems that there was no driver change on the car number 1. Well, the car number 1 has not pitted yet, so
yes,
yeah,
they're still in the top.
They're about to come in.
230 is coming in, leading the STQ class, the Nissan Z racing concept. Oops.
Diagonal stop.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously.
Because of the car.
Yes, the car just in that unfortunate position there.
So they have to push it back to start again. And we're checking once again the hydrogen number 32. It's the ORC Rookie GR Corolla H2 concept.
Latvala now driving.
Unfortunately, there are no rocks or dirt in this circuit.
Exactly.
Unless you drive on grass.
Which wouldn't be faster anyways.
Car number 34. The Audi R8 with Reiki Okusa is now in the pit. I think there's no driver change.
No driver change.
Only tires and refueling. Waiting for the refueling to stop.
And in that lineup on the car number 34,
yes,
we also have Hironobu Yasuda, who is a mentor to Riki Okusa.
Right.
He having his go-kart team, and now we see the Helm Motorsports
finally coming
for their stop. Let's see if they're gonna change driver or not. But Toriba has done a very good job so far. No driver change. So, oh, driver change, yeah.
Yes.
So he runs from the inside of the. Because normally in Super GT we see the teams ready and the driver standing there by the door where he stops. But in this, I think the rules are a little bit different. You have to run when the car is stopped.
I see. So this is Ryuta Ukai, I think, taking back the lead.
So we were talking about the lineup on the car number 34. So Hironobu Yasuda runs a go-kart team in Japan, and having been a very, very good racing go-kart driver in the past, he has very strong links with go-karting. So he has developed Riki Okusa and also Tadasuke Makino, who is now driving Super GT 500 with Honda. And so I think Yasuda has some talent forming young drivers, also growing them and mentoring them. Yasuda has been my teammate a long time ago in GT 500.
It's a nice thing to not only drive for yourself, but also creating or to be involved in the future of motorsports here in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of the drivers here in Japan, you know, getting involved into directing a team, managing a team, and mentoring and so on. So this is the natural step for a racing driver, is to be involved in the race team, because you acquire so much experience through the years that that experience is very valuable in this. So, you know, when your approach to a race weekend is the approach of someone who has raced for many, many years and has been behind the wheel. So it's invaluable, that amount of experience. So a lot of the former superstars in Japanese motorsports like Juichi Wakisaka,
yes,
you know, they have space to manage the team.
Right.
Tsugio Matsuda does that in Super Formula.
Daisuke Ito,
of course.
Tom's.
So.
Right. And then they bring another talent up.
Yeah, and you know, they have a different eye to those who have not been racing before. Even though they're very good managers, there are a different set of skills that are necessary in a race team, right? So you see also Formula One teams hiring drivers because they have that kind of experience. For example, David Coulter, Jenson Button.
Yes.
They do work in the background, seeing that kind of...
Not as a team principal, but as an advisor.
As an advisor, sometimes seeing, you know, things that the drivers are saying, trying to be in the middle, trying to make the team understand, or, yeah, for various reasons.
This is Daisuke Toyoda coming in with car number 75, also pitting in. This is Yu Kanemaru, Team Noah GR Super GT4, STZ class. Driver change for them. And Daisuke Toyoda is driving the carbon neutral fuel concept GR Hachiroku. And we also see a Shade Racing car in front. That's 884. So that should be the car second in the ST4 class, Yuji Kunimoto, who was fighting with Sho Tsuboi. What's going on with the car? I think it's stopped.
Yeah.
Isn't it stopping for too long?
Yeah, it could be.
Car number 26. Raffine is coming in.
Do you know if Daisuke Toyoda is related to Akio-san? I'm not quite sure. But he's also racing a Toyota, and he is racing a concept car. Well, he's racing the CNF.
I think it's his son.
His son?
Yes.
Okay. So
son of Akio.
Son of Akio. So I didn't know. So yeah.
And he is, I think, Daisuke is the head of the Woven City project.
Right.
Toyota. So they are creating now a futuristic city with sustainable environment.
Right. Okay.
And the whole concept is now led by Daisuke Toyoda.
So yeah. So the motorsports is obviously running in the veins of that family. Akio and Daisuke. It's car number 16 having the driver change.
That's car number 16. Let's see. Currently in position 19, leading the ST3 class. Hirokazu Suzuki driving the car. It's the two cars of the Okabe Jidosha, fairly easy. Z34. So the car number 884 is still in a pit. We don't see what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, the Shade Racing does not look good at the moment. Doesn't look like they're gonna start anytime soon. We don't see mechanics around it either.
This is car number 50 stop. What is this car doing
this
here?
Could be
a penalty stop?
Could be a penalty stop.
I think the man in front of the car was counting, maybe, or just looking to watch. So maybe it was.
Yeah, he was telling the driver to hold.
Car number 20 is in. This is the Impul.
Team Impul Kazuki.
Which Kazuki is driving right now? It's, oh, sorry, it's Yuki Tanaka.
Oh, not a Kazuki.
No Kazuki.
That's rare.
This is the Impul Z. And coming out of the pit, just behind the highway service coloring car. Car number 3 is in pit. This is the Endless GR86, 86, Yogawa from the ST4 class. Oh, 884 is out now. I just saw 884 coming out.
Yeah.
Was that also a penalty pit stop?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was, but not.
We're not sure, but.
So now with the driver changes, we're gonna see some of the cars coming back into contention here from the STX class. Obviously, we had that big margin initially.
Yes.
That was set by Kataoka, but that is coming down.
Because the leading car, the rookie AMG, is now driven by Ryuta Ukai, and Denso Lexus RCF with Hiroaki Nagai, and the helm, car number 1, is now with Reiji Hiraki.
So the Helm Motorsports car now is putting pressure on the Denso Lexus with Reiji Hiraki. He is lapping currently faster, quite a bit faster than the 2 cars ahead of him, Ukai and Nagai.
This is the leading car, car number 14, 33 seconds ahead of Nagai and Hiraki. But if you look at the lap times, Kai is currently 4.5 seconds slower than Hiraki, which means Hiraki needs 7 or 8 laps to catch him.
Yeah. Well, how much down that is down to traffic, we don't know, but
yeah,
we also see Josh Burden driving on the KCMG. He's driving some quick lap times. He's recovered the lap because they were a lap down. Well, maybe. Well, yeah, I think he has recovered a lap. Kyoto Fujinami also driving. He's putting in the fastest lap times at the moment.
So Ukai with car number 14 bounced back to 145. And Hiraki overtook Nagai, so Helm is currently 2nd now. And Hiraki is driving 144.9. So Ukai and Hiraki almost the same pace currently, which means the 33 second gap is still huge for Hiraki to catch up.
Yeah, that previous lap from Ukai was the 148. Obviously, perhaps a lot of traffic on that lap, but it's more of a normal lap time right now, and we'll see also Hiraki's lap time the next lap and see how much he can keep closing that gap.
Right. It's a matter of consistency. So
yeah.
So this is the car number 1, up to 2nd. Helm Motorsports GTR GT3. And car number 31, Hiroaki Nagai, currently 3rd. Let's see how the lap goes. Ukai drove 146.1 this lap. And Hiraki drove a 143.7.
So the gap is down 3 seconds.
30.8 seconds between the first 2 cars. Let's see. If it goes in this way, we need another 10 laps for them to catch up. This is the Green Brave, car number 52. Currently 8th overall, 2nd in the STZ class. Hiroki Yoshida was the driver. Did they change the driver? I'm not sure.
I haven't seen a driver change there.
Maybe before we saw the fueling. Well, let's see. Let's just wait until the pit stop. Once again, the helm.
Oh, that is a very late turn in. Well, both, I think, obviously the Impo there was very confident to turn into that corner, but both Nissans and wow.
Shall I tell you who drives the car now?
Please do.
Kazuki Nakajima.
Kazuki Nakajima.
The vice chairman of Toyota Gazoo Racing Europe.
Yeah, so...
And 3 times Le Mans winner.
We are very, very glad that Reiji Hiraki was, let's say, a bit more careful on the braking there, because if he had really gone for that gap, there could be 2 cars badly damaged at this point of the race with only, let's say, like a couple of hours.
1.5.
1.5.
Well, we're gonna in this start part, we're gonna show you 2 hours, so 30 more minutes, and then we have the goal part tomorrow. I'm gonna show another couple of hours, and well, in between, if you want to see the whole 24 hours, this is, well, you might be watching this on Fuji Speedway official YouTube, but the Super Taikyu has its own YouTube channel. And if you follow it, it's unfortunately Japanese all, but well, at least you will see the race and you will hear the sound of the race with Japanese commentary. So we will conclude this start part in 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes time. But if you want to see the rest of the race, just don't forget to switch to the Super Taikyo official YouTube after we conclude our start part.
And practice your Japanese.
Yeah, why not?
Japanese hearing.
And most of the racing words are in English, so.
Right. Yeah.
Overtake is overtake. Side by side, side by side.
Side by side. Exactly.
Yeah. Pittoin is pit in.
Pittoin.
Well, I think you will.
Pit lane.
Pit lane is pit lane.
Yeah.
What else should we teach them to our viewers? Refueling is different, QU.
Yeah.
Tire change is taya kokan, so tire. Tire is tire.
Driver is doraiba.
Yeah, exactly.
Tires is tires.
Tires are tire. Cars are kuruma.
Kuruma.
Yeah, so maybe that's oop. And that oop, the Rafina car is in the pit stop. Oops, in the garage. Car number 25.
Yeah, so that's for sure a very unplanned one. This is early in the race to have a car coming into the garage.
Yeah. It was Kimiya Sato who was driving the car. And I think we saw a chance of a driver change. I don't know who he's trying. Well, former Le Mans winner Seiji Ara is also one of the drivers of the team.
Seiji Ara.
Yes.
A lot of experience. A 24-hour of Le Mans winner.
So we have at least 2
so
Le Mans winners.
Yes.
Kazuki Nakajima and Seiji Ara.
2 Le Mans winners here driving this race.
Not bad.
Not bad. Sho Tsuboi in the ST4 class is driving some very, very fast lap times. He just in the last lap, he put in a 1:59.17.
Okay.
Which is way ahead of the other cars in his class. Followed by Yusuke Tomibayashi, who is also coming from the gaming
Right, exactly.
From gaming as well.
He's also driving a Super GT car right now.
Also driving a Super GT. And we also having Super GT Igor Fraga, who's also coming from gaming.
Yes,
so.
He's also the, I think, the champion of the first era of Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Competition, I think.
Yeah.
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 He's a Japan-born Brazilian, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So he speaks very, very good Japanese. Unlike me.
Well, you speak good Japanese. You just refuse to speak Japanese by the interviews. You speak good Japanese. You should do it in Japanese. I know it. If I were a pit reporter, I will ask you all in Japanese. I will not use English to you.
I struggle, and when I start thinking, it goes blank, and I'm like, oh my God, what should we do now? What should we do? Oh well.
But Igor Fraga, yeah, he's also well, like Yamada, bro.
Yeah.
From the gaming to the real world.
Yeah, we may see more and more of that in the future, because obviously the simulations are getting, we have, these softwares like iRacing or R-Factor, Assetto Corsa, and Gran Turismo, and so on. So all of these drivers, they, in the virtual world, it's so competitive. I mean, drivers that try to come across from real racing to gaming, they struggle. I mean, I participated in the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans, and it's quite impressive how professional it is actually, because you're on the radio, you're hearing the race control. We have all a procedure as we do in real racing. Safety cars and so on and things like that, which are quite impressive. Many, even F1 drivers like Max Verstappen, sometimes participating in
He is the third fastest driver in the virtual Le Mans series. And he's the champion of Formula 1.
Yeah, so
how amazing is that?
So what is incredible with Verstappen is that he's I think a lot of his skills come also from the virtual world. Yes. When you see him driving in the virtual world, against the top drivers because you just need to put so many hours into the virtual racing to be good at it. And that's why many of the professional race car drivers don't bother trying to race there, because you cannot put as much effort as some young drivers who are not racing professionally, and they are just doing that. And some of them these days are making quite a good living out of the virtual racing. So that became a professional activity now. So then going into that side is as difficult, or I don't know. I can't judge myself, but which is more difficult, to come from the virtual world into the real world, or the real world into the virtual world? Because sometimes when you drive the virtual world, you have setups in the car that you would think that they would never work in a real car, and that works in a virtual car. So it's, it can be quite different from reality in terms of.
Well, what you don't have is the G-force.
Yeah.
The feedback from the car.
Yeah.
But what I heard is, because of that, the virtual, the sim racing drivers are sensitive to the sound, to the rolling, to the feedback of the steering, so which will really help in the real car real racing. So, for example, why Max Verstappen is so fast is because he has a skill to listen to the sound without feeling any G-force or feedback from the car when the car starts sliding. So usually you feel the car or feel the tires inside the car when it starts sliding, right? But he only, in the virtual world, he only listens, or he just sees it, like maybe because of the sliding of the front side of the screen, like somewhere over there, the shape of the mountains or so. And then you don't necessarily have to feel all of the feelings that you have to feel in the real car, which makes it extra sensitive.
Right.
By driving the real car.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I felt that was quite, I would say, difficult to adapt from coming from the real world to the virtual world is that, like I said, when you come from, you don't have those senses, so you come from very different setup, and then
84.
Yeah, the 84 seems to be real in trouble. How many laps have they lost already?
I don't know, but a couple already.
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 already.
I think they're like 3 laps down to the leader. Yeah.
So one of the things that I have noticed is that a lot of the pro virtual drivers, they drive with a setup which is very, very special, and they use minimal steering compared to reality. So you just basically, there's no corrections basically, because they know exactly the timing to turn and where to drive, what curbs to touch and whatnot. So then you basically already understand what the game or what the software will accept.
I see.
And then that takes time for you to develop that kind of understanding. And it's not natural for a real racing driver to jump in and to do minimal amount of steering, because in the real car you need to do more steering. You need to do put bigger effort. Sometimes you need to counter. So it's natural for a racing driver who's not so experienced in the virtual world to think that he's going fast by fighting the car a little bit, or by trying to get more input and braking hard and so on. Whereas in the virtual world, these guys, they don't even look like they're putting an effort.
Right.
They are just so in tune with the software and with the game that it's almost automatic for them. You see them, they do lap by lap the same line, so it's very impressive.
And also in last year's Honda Fans Day, I was talking with Max Verstappen, and I was asking, why are you competing still in the virtual world if you are already 2-time champion of Formula One in the real world? And he said, the reason I do it is because of the continuous. So, if you're driving a real world, you have off season. You have some, for example, like a month summer vacation, summer off of the season. You have wintertime, 3 months now, no racing. But if you do virtual racing, there's no blank. So what he told me is the first lap I drive at the opening test of the season, it's like doing another lap, not touching the car in the first time in 4 months or so. So he drives like a couple hours after the real race, after Formula One race, in the virtual Le Mans race, and that's insane. He was driving like a couple hours in the top category, risking his life, and then he's moving on to virtual world to just drive a couple hours of virtual Le Mans. And that's what he told me. Yeah.
And when you drive in a race like that, as a Formula One champion, all these young drivers, as sim drivers around the world who are racing against you, they're trying to beat you. They're all, they're targeting you, because then you also you promote yourself by beating a world champion in Formula One. So, for him to put himself in that position is quite remarkable. Obviously, Max has been, for years and years, he has been doing it. So I think at that one point, which maybe perhaps he slows down, like he stops doing it. He stops driving it. Then he loses a little bit in the tune of it. So maybe he just wants to keep going, just so that he's still, in the train, if you understand what I mean. It's still in that carriage, because once you stop driving for a little bit, things change, maybe some rules change, car change, track changes, and then you just start to lose the groove a little bit. So I think for the young drivers, the answer is to do both. So it's not starting karting or starting a sim racing. You don't have to choose one, right? So if you look at the current top drivers, the young drivers under 25 or so, they're all sim racers at the same time. Yeah, I mean, it's always good for a race car driver to have experience in different kinds of, I would say, of course, virtual world, you can do that more easily, but even in the real world, you can do different categories, like in Japan, the drivers have the possibility to do Super GT, Super Formula, and Super Taikyu. So then you grow as a driver. You start to understand different cars, different ways, different setups. You know, you just basically accumulate experience with different tires, tire development. You know, so all of that comes into into your bank, you know, into your bank of experience, and that can be very valuable in the future.
And you can drive all over the race course virtually before actually driving it, so that's also one positive side of virtual racing.
Imagine that, you know, many years ago, I mean, obviously there was a lot more testing in Formula One. Nowadays there is two preseason tests. One preseason test.
This year it was only one,
which is incredible. The teams used to be in Barcelona like before the season starts for weeks.
This year was only 1 week before, 3 days of Bahrain test, and then starting the rest of the season.
Limited on mileage, you're limited on budget. Some teams have a little bit more time on wind tunnel because they're trying to catch up, and so yeah, I mean, motorsports, you know, slowly changing. You know, we see every year we see new things happening, and yeah.
And now the same thing is happening with you know, as we talked before, with the sustainability, you know.
Sustainability, yeah.
With electric cars maybe coming in. Well, Formula One is turning 50% electric in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
And Formula E is becoming bigger and bigger. And here you see all those e-fuels or hydrogen cars, or, well, let's see. Maybe it's the most exciting time for motor racing in history.
One of the interesting things that's going on also from next year, from 2024, in the GT3 world is that they are changing, they are making Le Mans open to GT3 cars.
Yes.
So how exciting would that be? Because many manufacturers until this point could not enter because you didn't have a GTE car, which is a development from a GT3 car, which costs a lot for a manufacturer to do. So
it's like an upper scale of GT3 cars. So
yeah. So it was reduced only to like a handful of manufacturers in GTE, but now, you know, they're talking about limiting the amount of cars that each manufacturer can run at Le Mans, because all the manufacturers now that have a GT3 car want to participate. So you're gonna see teams that, well, obviously there are many teams using the
car number 32.
Yeah, then we see the Toyota again having another pit stop. I've no driver change, Latvala. But yeah, you see a lot of these big brands like Mercedes, like Porsche, like Audi, BMW. They have many teams in Europe running in GT3. So only two. Well, we have a good fight here.
26 and 19. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the passing the Porsche. That's the Porsche. Yeah, 26 making the move. 26
is Otsuka, Ryuichiro Otsuka, the Raffine. 19 was BRP, Kenji Suzuki. So the Raffine Nissan moved up to third in the STZ class. Yes.
We saw them in the garage earlier on, but that didn't
affect too much, I think. Yeah. So
it should be exciting from next year. You know, like all these manufacturers wanting to join and being more open. I think that's a very big step forward to a big race like Le Mans.
And it's also encouraging because maybe some of the teams here in the Super Taikyu will also have an opportunity to join the WEC for some races.
Yeah, so you know, we already see obviously D-Station being the pioneer in that because they are doing Le Mans, they're doing the WEC series, but you do have to go through, you know, selection. You have to driving certain series, and then perhaps in the Asian Le Mans series, which you then guarantee your entry for Le Mans. And yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, there will be many teams interested, but the entries are going to be difficult to get.
Yeah. But good for the sport.
For sure, for sure.
885, the Shade Racing GR Supra, leader of the STZ class. Driver is Hiro Hayashi.
So we see Hiraki now just under 14 seconds behind Ukai in that AMG.
While we're talking about lots of hot topics of the motorsports in the future, he was catching slowly up.
Slowly.
It's now 10 seconds.
It's now 10 seconds, yeah. So he's taking on average 3 seconds a lap from Ukai.
So 3 more laps. That's, will we see that? We're gonna conclude this show in 10-minute time. 2 minutes of, yeah, let's see, 3 laps. Yeah, 6 minutes. I think we can show that before we go.
Yeah.
But even if that doesn't happen, don't forget to switch to Super Taikyu YouTube channel in Japanese.
Yeah.
But you will see the word, or you will hear the word Obatek.
Overtake.
Yes, overtake.
Overtake.
So don't forget to check that out. Number 31 is coming in, the Denso RCF.
That's a much earlier pit stop compared to the first one. It stopped on lap 38 or 39 in the first stint, so a much shorter stint this time. And it seems they're stopping only for fuel. So
maybe less refueling.
Yeah, an interesting strategy from them here. Just keeping the driver in the car, just refueling. So they're obviously thinking about you know, what's yet to come
in the longer term. Maybe they're calculating the 24 hours. Oh, nope. Put it in
they are in trouble. So
it's a trouble.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh, that's pity.
Let's hope that they can get it back together on track pretty soon. But
fourth.
Yeah, that will promote Fujinami
to third.
Yeah.
And Josh Burden maybe to fourth.
Yeah.
With the KCMG and SX. Car number 2, leader of FT1 class, Cynthia Maple KTM. Nice car. Beautiful car to check out. Overtaking other classes. The Rafina car too. Currently third in the category, STZ, the red one. Well, this car has driven 2 more laps than the Rafina car, so it overtook. Now it's 3 more laps for them.
Yeah, so the KTM lapping 3 seconds of 3 seconds a lap faster than the STZ class, so easily getting past and managing. Oh, there it is again, the yellow highway.
Yes, highway service car.
Highway service car on the track. That's some interesting bumper that they have over there. I bet for drivers here that are familiar with the Japanese highway, having a look at your mirror and seeing those bumpers, would be quite intrigued.
And the gap between the first 2 cars are down to, what, 3 seconds?
3 seconds. That was a massive 5-second gap in the 5-second difference in the last lap. So I think in the last lap, maybe in the next lap, perhaps Hiraki can get past Ukai.
Maybe Ukai was involved in the traffic because it was too slow for a lap. This is car number 6, leader of the ST2 class. Hitoshi Goto driving the Ran Evo. Lancer Evolution. Well, do we get a chance to see the top two cars battling for the top spot?
Yeah, let's hope we get that picture, because I think he's approaching Hiraki is approaching the Ukai at the moment.
Yeah.
During this lap, so we may be able to see that overtake.
So,
what a nice day at Fuji Speedway.
Yeah.
Good day for a 24-hour race. You don't want those rainy, difficult conditions here.
Nope. And we have also drivers with different experiences, so if it rains a lot.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Now, I think.
Now we see that.
Yes. Car number 1 overtaking 14, which means Hiraki is now the race leader.
The race leader, and the Helm Motorsports car seems to be, I mean, with that lineup that they have, I know what's yet to come. They are going to be in very good shape for the next few hours. They have Jan Maldenborough coming into the car, and they have also Yuya Hiraki, who's Reiji Hiraki's brother,
yes.
And Sean Tong, who's also experienced in a GTR. So they have some drivers that are going to be fast coming in.
So now Fujinami with the Daishin MP Racing GTR GT3 is currently third, 25 seconds behind, but still 2 seconds faster than Ukai.
Remember, he was a lap down, Fujinami.
Yes.
When he picked up the car, he was a lap down, and now he's only 25 seconds behind. So what a recovery he's been having in this stint. We'll see whether he goes for a second stint, stays in the car or not. We'll see. That's all down to the team to manage that strategy between sharing the load between the drivers.
Right.
They all have their clocks are ticking, so each driver has a clock, and if they can, depending on the license they have, they start to count backwards into, perhaps some drivers have 5 hours in the car, 4 hours because of their categorization. So the team has to manage that.
The allowed drive time, right?
The allowed drive time is different between gold drivers, silver drivers, and bronze drivers. And platinum drivers have the least amount of time in the car.
So almost 2 hours from the start, so almost 22 hours remaining. We saw change of lead.
That is the pits on the Helm Motorsports.
Looking nice.
Jan Maldenborough, is he going for a coffee? He's getting the helmet ready?
Or his smartphone, yeah.
With his bandana there. It's quite a look from Jan. He's a character. Good to see him back in Japan.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. Looks like he's going to be next in the car.
Hiraki is still sitting with the headphones on it.
So now they have done 66 laps. Considering the time of the first pit stop, they should be getting ready for a pit stop in about 10 laps or so. So this would be about the time for the next driver to start getting ready, because in the event of something going on, something happening, a tire burst, for example, then they can always come in and change driver at the same time.
So we're almost 2 hours, so it's almost time to say goodbye for us until tomorrow. We will again show you the goal part in English, starting 1 p.m. here in Japan. So I hope you can adjust that to your time zone. It's starting 1 p.m. here in Japan. So JP, before we say goodbye, how do you see the race so far in 2 hours, and what will you expect for the next 22?
Well, we've seen a very clean, straightforward race so far. So let's hope it keeps going this way. Good battle at the moment. All the STX cars are battling within the same minute. Basically, you see down to Josh Burton, who's P4 at the moment. So they're all separated by 1 minute after a good 2 hours of racing. So,
right. The competition is still tight.
Competition is tight. In the STZ class, also a very good battle. So let's hope it continues this way.
Yeah. So if you want to see the race, go to Super Taikyu YouTube. It's in Japanese, but you will see the rest of the race. And also, if you want to check out the goal, don't forget to tune in 1 p.m. tomorrow, Japanese time, so 1 p.m. on Sunday. And hope to see you again. Thank you so much, JP.
Thank you very much, Sasha. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you so much for watching. My name is Sasha, and see you again tomorrow. And enjoy the race.